you're going to accept it. And I'll turn it over to Whitney and just post your questions in the chat and we'll answer those as we go.
All right. Well, thank you, Patsy. I'm so glad everybody could join me today to make a wreath. Originally, when this was going to be in person, I called it the fall cone wreath because I was going to order all the materials and have that for you, and they were all going to be fall. But everybody got their own materials, so we're making all different kinds of wreaths today. So mine is going to be a 4th of July. It's a red, white, and blue one. And I have 3 ladies with me in my room here from my clubs that are making one as well. But I wanted to show you, this is the wreath. And so it has a little center that is the canning lid, and you put some paper on there, and then we're going to make these cones, and then we're going to attach it to a piece of cardboard on the back. So pretty simple to make. The biggest thing that you need to keep in mind is that you need double-sided cardstock in order to make this. And so sometimes that can be difficult to find. I ordered mine online. The big box craft stores I have found do not carry the double-sided cardstock. It needs to be a little bit heavier than just a regular scrapbooking paper. So it's not super stiff, but it is a little bit stiffer than just a regular paper. So you need 7 pieces of 12 by 12 inch double-sided paper. You're going to take 5 of those pieces, and you're going to cut it into quarters so that you have 6 by 6 inch squares. And so I have already taken my paper cutter. If you have a paper cutter, this is great. Your extension office might have a paper cutter that you can use. If not, just draw your lines on there, and you need 20 of the 6 by 6 inch squares. So how many of you are doing this with me? How many of you have your materials with you? Let's see if I can do gallery view here for a minute. So, okay, Wanda, you've got yours.
Whitney, Barbara Brackett and I have ours. I can't get to the.
Okay. So several of you are making along with me. That's what I wanted to know is if people were making it along with me. So I will give us time to work and put this together. So once you get your squares cut, the most time-consuming thing is to make your cones. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and then I'm going to give you some time to work. And then we'll talk about how to put this together. So you're going to need also a hot glue gun. So I use a hot glue gun to put my cones together and to attach them to my base in a little bit, and I'll show you that in a little bit here. So first we need to make the cones out of our squares. So you're going to take your piece of paper, and you're going to take 2 adjacent sides. So I'm going to take one corner here, and I'm going to kind of pinch that corner just to get it to roll a little bit. And I'm going to roll that into a cone. A couple of things, it can be a little challenging. So I usually start down at the corner down here and just kind of fold it in. You want it to overlap just a little bit at the bottom of the cone. At the top of the cone, these edges here, you want them to overlap by about 1 inch or 1.5 inches. However much that you overlap those, whether it's 1 inch or 1.5 inches, you want to keep that pretty consistent among all of 20 of your cones. So what I do is I roll it and I kind of hold it for a minute so it kind of gets its basic shape before I put my glue on it. So kind of roll it. You can see that mine is kind of holding its little shape here. Then I can go ahead and take my glue gun, and I'm just going to run a little line of glue right down the edge at the bottom, and then a little bit where I have 1 inch over here at the top. I'm going to run a little bit there, and then I'm going to roll it and press it together. Be careful, the glue is going to be hot, and you don't want to get it on your fingers. It also comes through the paper just a little bit. So you end up with a cone. Now, my papers, I have several that have the same pattern on them. So I actually have 4 that are just alike. And I want a variety of cones, a variety of designs. So with this pattern, I've got this little blue pattern on one side, and I've got the red and blue flowers on the other side. So for this cone, I put the little blue pattern on the inside. I'm going to do 2 of them that way. And then my other 2, I'm going to roll the other way so that the big flowers on the inside and the little flowers are on the outside. And that way I end up with a big variety of different cones. So once you hot glue it, it's stable. So I can just throw that aside, and I'm going to work on all 20 of these cones. So I'm going to give you a little while to work on those and get those cones put together, and then we'll tell you the next steps here. So if you have questions as you go along, just let me know. You can open your mic and let me know and ask questions. But we're going to work here for a few minutes. Sense to you ladies here in the room. The hardest part of this whole thing is getting these cones made. So it will be awkward at first, but once you get going, you'll get a rhythm down. If it's not quite sticking, like it's not sticking right here at the bottom, I can take my glue gun, and once I get it rolled like that and get the top part glued, then I can add a little bit of glue and then press that together. You can see on my finished wreath here that the very tips are not going to show. They're going to be underneath that center. So if they don't meet exactly there, that's okay. You do want the sides though, because those are going to show where they join. You do want those to be glued down.
Whitney, is hot glue the only type of glue you could use, or there's that roll-on glue, you know, like a tape almost?
Right. You have to have something that is going to hold right away. So like a tacky glue or something like that, you would be holding that cone forever until it cools. And because it's a cardstock instead of just a regular paper, it wants to spring apart. So if your cone is not, if you don't have a glue that sticks right away, it's going to want to spring apart. So you'll have to hold it until it holds together. So I would say those would be hard to use. This is really, I like to use tacky glue a lot of times if I can. This is one project where that doesn't work as well.
Okay, good.
If you are using a tacky glue, I would suggest that you get some clothespins and pin it to let it dry. That might help. And up at the top, I don't know if you can see this very well, but you want your 2 sides to be pretty even there. You can see here's the corner of this one, and it's right at the top because you can get it on an angle, but you want them pretty level up at the top there. So Louise, if you take, yeah, making these cones, make sure that you have 2 adjacent sides. And then I always pinch the bottom because that makes it a lot easier. That starts to curve it. And then you can curve them around. Yeah, I made these with some of my coworkers and they were having trouble because they wanted to bring these two edges together. They have to be adjacent sides and then bring those adjacent sides together to make your cone. So you're actually working with a diamond instead of a square. If you turn them into a diamond shape and then try to roll them, that's a good reminder. And if you have questions or anything, like I say, just open your mic. I find it easiest after I pinch it and roll it, glue the top and then squish the bottom part in. Yeah, you have to be careful with the hot glue. It will definitely stick you, burn you. That's the part I don't like about using the hot glue, but I really haven't found on this project a way around it. If anybody wants to show their cones, that would be good. My ladies are laughing at me here. Okay, so they're asking me for the process of putting the glue on and folding this thing over. So let me get my different view here. So pinch the bottom, hold it in a diamond shape, pinch the bottom, and then I take one side and kind of roll it underneath the other side. So, and then if it's not in the center, I can kind of play with the tip. And like I say, it doesn't have to be exact because it is going to be covered up to about a ½ inch there. So it doesn't have to be perfect down there. So then once I get that, then you can kind of leave it in a rolled position and just put your glue along there and then carefully hold it for just a second. You can see on this one, it's not real level. So I want to see if I can move that a little bit and get that a little more level up at the top. And I might not be able to do that. This one's kind of dried, but if they're a little off, it's okay. I would like them to be a little bit more level than that. This one is a better one. You can see where they match right up at the top there. Oops, it's on this side. There's my corner right there. Okay, so pinch the bottom, roll it underneath, kind of hold it with your hand at the bottom and bring those over and up together. Kind of hold it there for a second and then glue it. Okay, so there's another one. If you overlap some more than others, they're going to be different sizes. So one will be really skinny and one will be fatter. And when you go to space them out, it'll be more difficult. So you want them kind of an even size. So try to overlap them the same amount. Oh. Here, come over here, Louise.
I can't hear you.
I'm helping one of my ladies here. So we're pinching the bottom and then we're rolling it. Just make it go over there. There you go. And tuck that edge under and kind of use your hand to squeeze it a little bit. Squeezing that little tip, once you get it rolled, you know, we can kind of get your top lined up. You're trying to tuck this edge under. Use your hand to kind of shape it, to squeeze it into an ice cream cone shape. Anybody else having problems? Not that we're, hey, you're a problem child. This is challenging to get started. So if you're having, you know, it doesn't seem natural yet, it'll grow on you after a few minutes. After you get about 10 of them, if you get halfway through, you're on your way. Okay, Jean, are you having trouble or are you okay? Are you getting the hang of it? Okay. Okay, so pinch those two sides, roll it, and then it helps to hold the top. So once you roll it, hold the top, and then pull it up and pinch, and tuck that under, and then squeeze it with your hand. And your glue down. I think one of the hard things is not burning your hand. My ladies here are having trouble with burning their hands. Not glue. I guess this class should have come with a warning. I did not put a warning on this class. Oh, Jean, you have a black screen and broken sound. Is anybody else having any trouble, or can you see me and hear me okay? Jean, why don't you try going out and come back in? Because I don't see anybody else that's having trouble. Let's try that and see if that helps. Yes, I think the question is, will a cool glue gun work? And I think that will. Yeah, that would be, because it grabs on and holds right away. It's just not as hot. And so, yes, that might be a safer way to do it. All of the ones that we have here at the office are the regular hot glue guns.
It's a new one for me. I didn't know they made cool glue guns.
Yes. Yep. They're a lower temperature. They're called low temperature glue guns, and they don't get quite as hot. The different glue, you have to have the special glue to go with those. Yeah. And it is much safer. But it does hold right away. And so that's all you need for this, is something that will hold right away. They use those a lot with children so they don't burn themselves. But it's useful for adults as well. One of my ladies said, that's exactly what we need. We need to be like the children. Also, pinch it. And then force it into that cone shape. Making cones is not the easiest thing in the world to do with paper, especially with the cardstock. Let's see, did Jean get back in? I don't think she's come back in, Patsy, has she?
No, she is not. I've been watching.
Okay.
Whitney, this is Teresa Bell. I have a question.
Yes.
The bottom of my cone has a gap. Is that okay?
You don't want a real long gap. If it just is down at the bottom, that's fine. If it goes too far up, you will be able to see it. So
okay.
About a ½ an inch is going to be covered up, or an inch at the bottom there is going to be covered up. So that will be fine. Or if you have a couple of cones that didn't get formed quite right and they have a gap on them, use those for your first layer, because your second layer is going to go over the top. So I wouldn't take that one apart, but just try to get them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good question. Okay, here comes Jean back in. Okay, welcome back, Jean. Let me know how things are, if you can see and if you can hear okay. Can you hear us, Jean? I know you don't want to think about this right now because you're just trying to make your first one, but this is a really good project to do for different seasons. So I have a fall one, and you can make a 4th of July and Memorial Day, summer season. You can make Christmas ones out of Christmas paper. You can make Easter ones. I've seen all different kinds. So that's kind of a fun thing. You can change these out for the seasons. I actually keep mine on my office door here at the extension office. And then 2 of my coworkers, I was testing when we were supposed to do this last year. I was testing it out on a couple of my coworkers, and so they made wreaths as well. And so we actually have 3 of them at our office here. And then our 4-H agent actually made them with kids. So our 4-Hers made them.
I'm not very crafty, Whitney, but I'm assuming you would be just limited to what kind of papers, what kind of design on papers you could find to go together.
That is correct. Yeah. Yep. So like I say, I ordered mine online, and they had a pretty good selection. They had Christmas patterns, they had summer patterns. A couple of my ladies here are using like purple, like kind of dolphin and space designs. Another lady has some pastels. So you can get a good variety online. And if you happen to have a scrapbooking store in your county, there used to be one in Murfreesboro that I would go to, and they had the double-sided 12 by 12 cardstock. You're more likely to find it at a scrapbooking store than you are at the big box craft stores. But if you Google it or go on Amazon or one of those, it will come up and you can order it online. You can usually, the ones that I got had like 24 or 36 pieces in a package. And so you, okay. So then you can get a couple of wreaths out of a package. I know some of my ladies split a package here. Amazon. And like I say, we don't recommend brand names or whatever, but mine is Miss Kate's Cuttables, but there are other brands as well. And you can see that when you're forming the cones, you know, it does have to be bendable, so you don't want it too thick. You don't want real stiff paper, but you want it just a little bit heavier than a regular piece of paper. Once I get my cones done here, I'll show you the rest of the process, and then you can proceed at your own pace. We have a variety here. Let's see, Connie's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She's got about 10 of hers done. Another lady has about 4, and another lady has 3. So everybody's working at their own pace. And that's perfectly fine. This is not a race. It's very simple once you get these made to put it together. So if you don't get it completely done while we're together, you'll have everything that you need. The directions are on the website. The actual handout is there with all of the directions. So you need to print that off and go back later to look at that. That's there for you to follow as well. Once they all get squished onto the wreath, you know, if they're not looking super pretty, they will, because you won't notice the individual cones. You'll just see the entire pattern. So they're worried here about their cones looking a little rough. If you do get your edges pretty even, it does help it helps pull the point together too. So that's another tip. If you're having problems with your little tip down there, use your thumb and your forefinger to kind of slide these a little bit, and that will help that point to form down there. Need 20 of them. We're going to do 2 layers on our base. And so they're going to be stacked. So if you have some that don't look so good or that have a gap down at the point, you put those on the bottom layer and then you put your prettiest ones on top. So if you do get all 20 of yours made, you want to sort them, you know, so you have a good balance of colors and patterns. But also you can sort them into 2 piles. You'll need 10 for your bottom layer and 10 for your top.
We have a comment, Whitney, that the paper matches your blouse.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We know you planned that. So.
I was going to say, that is a happy coincidence. I did not plan that. I went to Hilton Head last week for vacation with my dad and my brother's family. And so, yeah, my clothes this week are what is still clean because I haven't done laundry yet.
Gotcha. So how many different sheets did you say to get? Because you know you've got 2.
I'm sorry, how many different what now?
Sheets, like, you know, different designs.
Oh, they're double-sided. I think mine had like 8 or 10 different designs, something like that in the whole package.
Okay.
I'm not using all of them, but
okay.
Yeah, I think they had 2 sheets of each pattern. So it depends on where you get your paper as to how many patterns. And they're really pretty if you have different designs on them, but you could make it with all of the same paper. You could do that as well.
Just curious, I was looking online while you're doing this about where to get paper and what they come in.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and most of those packs will come with several different designs. They usually tell you how many different designs are in there. I will show you. So this is my pack of paper. It comes in a cellophane thing. But I wanted to show you. So some of my sheets have these patterns on them. So these I pulled out because I want an all over design. If I turn that into a cone, that's not going to look very good. So you'll want to pull those out. You want some overall design. So my pack had like the gingham, the checks, and then it had the florals. It also had dots. And with this particular company, I find that they have a pretty good variety of checks and plaids and florals and dots. And so it gives you a good variety. So you want papers that kind of have an overall design on them. You'll notice in the center of the wreath, we're going to use a canning lid and we're going to cut a little circle out in the middle. And so my pieces that had these little square designs, I could use that little design and cut around it to put in the center of my wreath. So you can use, those are good to use for that.
Good. I was going to ask you if you had something for those sheets.
Yes. Yep. We can always find something to do with those extra bits and bobs that don't work for some things. I also make good gift tags. You cut them up and write on them. And I found most of the packs that I order, the Miss Kate's Cuttables, they do have a couple of sheets like that. Some of them also come with stickers. So I need to come up with a project using stickers. In October, I do a holiday ideas program with my clubs, and it's all different craft projects for the holidays. So maybe I need to come up with something that uses stickers for that. It might be released. Yeah, some brands of the paper might be a little bit stiffer than other brands. I'm so excited. When I got home last night, I was looking at the Facebook page for TAFCE Central Region and saw lots of pictures of the wreaths and the things that people had made in the classes yesterday, and they were so pretty. There were some beautiful wreaths on there. We had some sweater pumpkins, all kinds of fun things. I love leadership retreat. It's one of my favorite activities for FCE. That and the state meeting are always fun. And I'm really glad that our state meeting is going to be in person this year again. So that will be great. They did confirm that, Louise. It will be in person, the state meeting in November. It's November, I think it's the 12th through the 14th.
Also, the annual meeting in September will be in person as well.
Oh, okay. The regional meeting in September will be in person. Yeah, no, the state meeting is this year, right, Patsy? It's not 2022.
It is. They're both 2021 and 2022 are both in Franklin at different hotels.
Okay.
2021 is in Franklin, but it's at Embassy. It is hosted by Western Region.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And 2022 is at Marriott, hosted by Central.
Okay, great.
And Whitney, I just wanted to remind you that the conference in November is the 14th to the 17th.
14 to 17. Thank you, Wanda. I have my calendar in front of me. One of my
we're so excited it's going to be in person.
Yes, yes. It will be so good to see everybody in person and not have to just Zoom in. Zoom has been wonderful. I have been appreciative to have that available and to be able to teach that way, but it'll be fun to see everybody again too.
I would be willing to bet that we will continue some things on Zoom, even when we go back to in person.
Yes, I think so, Wanda. Yep.
We might even do some hybrid for people who can't.
Yep.
Things.
I think this whole pandemic is going to change the way we do a lot of things well into the future here. But it's nice to have options. All right, I'm on my last cone here. And then we'll check in with everybody and see how you're doing. But if you don't have your cones done, that's perfectly fine. I've made a couple of these, so I have a little more practice here. So there's no pressure.
That means you get to show yours at Show and Tell, since we won.
Yeah. Well, you can finish yours up tonight. You should have, well, no, Show and Tell is this afternoon. I guess you won't have time to do that. You can post it to the Facebook page afterwards. You work on it tonight. How's everybody doing on their cones? How many do you have done? Okay, Sally's got 7 done. Louise has 4. 18. You're almost there, Connie. How about you ladies online? How you doing?
I've got 18 made.
Oh, good. That's great. Just 2 more. Keep going.
We're good down here in Franklin County. Got ours done.
Great. All right. Y'all are fast. Do you have a group watching with you, Mary Beth?
I just have one other lady. There was one here this morning, but right now we're down to just Barbara Brackett and myself.
Okay. Well, great. Very good.
We're having a ball.
Yeah, I think Myra this morning, I think she's got her conference room going and people there as well.
We made the sheet pan for lunch.
Oh, did you?
And it was yummy. It smelt wonderful and tasted very, very good.
Great. Did you do the sausage one?
Yes, yes.
Great.
Sausage with the potatoes and the onions and the peppers. And I added colorful peppers. I used a yellow and a green and a red, just, you know, for a little color, a little different flavor, and it worked out great.
Good. It looked really good. All of them looked really good. Have to try those for dinner. I love pork tenderloin and sweet potatoes, so I think I'll try that one. All right. Well, since some of you are ready to move on, I'm going to show you the next steps just so you can get started on that. If you're not there with your cones, that's perfectly fine. You'll have plenty of time to do that. So you're going to form a base. So on my wreath, you can see on the back, there's a piece of, this one's actually just poster board. So you can use poster board, or for today's, I took a box. So it's like a corrugated cardboard. So you can use either one, it doesn't matter. Mine has kind of the tan side, and then it has the printed side of the box. So I'm going to cover up that printed side, and then the back of my wreath will be the tan side. If you have a piece of cardboard that has printing or something on both sides and you want the back to be pretty, you can use paper on both sides. You'll need another sheet of paper. So what I did is I just took about a 12-inch plate and put that down on my cardboard and traced around it. And then I took one of my pieces of paper. And this is a good place to use those sheets that have different designs on the back, because you only need the one side for these. So I just traced around my plate on that one. Now this time you could use hot glue, but it's a little lumpy. So I'm just going to use a tacky glue, like a school glue or a tacky glue. And you're just going to spread that onto your cardboard, and you're going to glue that sheet on there just to cover up your cardboard here. It doesn't show very much once you get your cones on there, but just in case something peeks through your cones, you want to have it covered up there. So I just put my glue all over, and then I'm going to glue my piece of paper on there. So it's nice and covered. And then I've got my tan on the back. All right, so now we are going to take this and we're going to glue our cones on here. And I'm going to use hot glue to do that. But we're going to take the canning lid. Find my canning lid here. Oh, here it is. So I have just a regular canning lid, regular mouth canning lid. So in the center, this is what's going to cover up your center. So you want your cones to come underneath that. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to leave about a three-inch circle in the middle. Or actually what I'm going to do, this will be easier. Take your canning lid and just trace a circle in the center.
Whitney, got a question.
Yes.
Are you using a regular size canning lid or a wide mouth?
I'm using a regular one. I tried to use a wide mouth and it was too big. So a regular one works better. You could use a wide mouth. You'll just need to spread them out just a little bit further. So hang on, I'm going to grab a pencil and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to trace around my canning lid here just to give me an idea of where that's going to be. It doesn't have to be perfect. I didn't measure or anything. I just drew with my pencil a little line on there. Now your bottom layer is going to be out a little bit further than your top layer. So for my bottom layer, which is the one that we're going to put on right now, I'm going to bring the tip just slightly into that circle. So just over the edge. And then I'm going to smush just the tip about 1 inch up, maybe 2 fingers width. I'm going to make sure that the point of my cone is straight. And I didn't get that very straight. So make sure that the tip of your cone is straight. Flatten the bottom just a little bit. And then I'm going to use hot glue. And I just made a line of hot glue on there. And I'm going to lay my cone down and press it down in the center there, and then smush my end. So there's my first one. Then I'm going to pick a different pattern. I'm going to space these patterns. You may want to lay out all of your cones first and then start gluing them on so that you get a variety of patterns and designs, so you don't end up 2 of these right next to each other. So you do want to pay attention to that. There are 10 cones in each layer. So you want to put your top one on, and then you want to put one straight across from it. So my next cone is going to go straight across. So it's my top and my bottom. And then there are 4 that go on each side. So on each side, then I will place these. I kind of set it down on your table and lay these 4 out and then glue them on there. And just make sure that this part, the tip is sticking straight out, and this part all the way down is on the cardboard. You don't want to put them on sideways. If I put it on sideways like that, that's not nearly as pretty. I want the full flat of the inside showing. Does that make sense?
Whitney, this is Teresa. I've got a question. I was picking out the ones that I want to go on the bottom, and I did not see you place that one. So how far to the center do we place the point? I'm sorry, I missed that.
No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. It's hard to see my pencil line. I'm going to hold it really close here. So you can see my pencil line there. And then it's about a ½ an inch maybe in towards the center.
Okay.
Yep.
Got you.
If you put them too far to the center, you don't want to go all the way to the center, because then you have 2 layers and it's really bulky. And when you go to put that canning ring on there, it's going to sit up too high. You just have too much bulk there.
Okay.
So you just want it overlapping. And this is easier to do if it's flat on your table than holding it up in the air. So do it flat on your table. And like I say, I lay mine out so that I get a variety, and I kind of look at it. The 4 on each side, you're just going to evenly space those. Just eyeball it. You don't have to measure or anything. You're just going to, and you're just going to evenly space them on there. I actually find it easier if I flatten the tip first, then they don't roll around and stuff, and then place it down, and it kind of sits up there. So flatten your little tip about a ½ an inch in. You can see on this one, I didn't get it quite all the way down to the tip. You can see the white from the other side there. So that's perfectly fine because it's going to be covered up. If you have cones that aren't perfect, it's all right. So I don't want like all of my red on one side and all my blue on the other side. So I do highly recommend that you kind of space these out and then go to gluing. So once you get your bottom layer on, then your top layer is going to go in between these. So you'll have a lot of your background or some of your background showing at this point, but your other ones are going to go in between and fill in. So you want them evenly spaced so that when you put that top layer on there, they sit in between those nicely. Ten on each layer. So do your top and your bottom, your 12 o'clock and your 6 o'clock, and then space 4 in between.
And Brittany, Whitney, I'm sorry. How I'll get there. How much of your cone do you put glue on when you start putting it on there? I missed that part, I guess. I heard you, but I didn't see.
Right. I run the glue all the way from, I actually put it on the round piece instead of the cone itself. And I run it from the center all the way to the edge of the cardboard piece.
Yep. Thank you so much.
No, that's a good question. Yeah, because I have to do that flat, so you didn't really see that part. So that's a good question. It's not going to show. Yeah, when you trace around your lid in the center, it's not going to show. So don't worry about that. You okay, Sally? Poor Sally, she said she has 3rd-degree burns on her fingers now. Yeah, it's hard to see the glue because it's clear. That can be a problem. You just need enough glue on there to hold them in place. So it doesn't have to be completely covered with glue, but you do want it at least at the tip and out the edge of the cardboard. I'm going to hold mine up here. So these are my first, that's my first side. So I have my top one up here, my bottom one, and then the 4 that are evenly spaced around there. So now I've got the other 4. So there's my first layer. So you can see a lot of the background on there. But now as I start to add my second layer, so this design is right here. So I want to bring this over into here somewhere so that they're not together. Okay, actually, that one has it in it. So yeah. So this time when you add your second layer, you're going to do the same thing, only you're going to bring them in just a little, maybe 1/4 of an inch or so further to the center. And you can see that that will start to fill in between those, and they're going to sit on top of the other ones. Now, when you put this layer on, you're just going to be gluing this down at the tip here, because this part doesn't reach the back. It's sitting on top. So you're just gluing about the bottom inch or so. So this time I am going to put the glue on the cone itself, just down at the tip there. And then I'm going to smush it. And you can see that it kind of just sits on top there. It's sitting up. Again, make sure that your point is sticking straight out and is flat so that your cone is straight. So I'm just going to fill in with my other cones in between. Does that make sense, Connie? Yes, I flattened my tip. Make sure that your point is straight and then flatten your tip. And then the glue is going to go on that bottom 1 inch on the flat side, on the back side. And I am going to lay these out because you don't want to get to the end and have 2 of the same pattern next to each other. So lay this out before you start gluing these down. And remember, you may have the same pattern on the outside of some cones that's on the inside of other cones. So pay attention to that as well as you're laying them out. You may have to find that you play around with it once you get, you may have to move some things to get it distributed correctly. And once you're happy with your arrangement, then you can start gluing. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to start gluing. The second layer is easier to glue than the first one. Okay, so once you get them all glued, you can see there's just a little hole in the center. That's what mine looks like. You can see that they're laying on top of each other there. And pull off all your little strings from your hot glue. Okay, let me show you the very last part, and then I'll let you work and ask questions and that kind of thing. So we're going to use a canning lid in the center. I've got my two-piece lid. I'm actually going to turn the lid so that this normally would be the inside of the lid, but it's flatter. This side goes in, and so I want a flat surface to glue to. So I'm going to use the inside of the lid. Just going to use some tacky glue and spread that. You're going to trace this onto your paper and cut out a circle out of whatever pattern you want for your center. Like I say, I used the design. I cut out one of the little flowers. And then you're just going to glue that onto your flat there. And then I'm going to take the ring and I'm going to run glue around the inside rim. And I'm going to glue that lid into the canning ring here. So my glue is just on the rim. It's not on this part. It's just on that inside rim. And then I'm going to take my lid and push it in. And I'm going to hold it there for a minute or two until it settles in. Takes hold. Now on my other one, I just used one of my patterns. So it had an overall pattern in the center. This one was a specialty cutout pattern. So you can use either one, whatever papers you have and what you like better. So while that's drying a little bit, we're going to use a little piece of styrofoam, or you could use like the floral foam kind of stuff or whatever you have. But we need to, because our lid, goes up in there, we need something to put our lid onto that's going to stick down just a little bit. So you want a piece that will fit inside your ring, and you want it to hang down you want it to be a little bit taller than your lid. That will lift it up. You've got all of these papers here in the center. So we need something to lift it up just a little bit. So I'm actually going to take some hot glue and I'm going to glue this piece of styrofoam into my lid there. You could use tacky glue and let it dry. Also, it doesn't matter. I just don't want to have to hold it there. And then we're going to put glue on that styrofoam and put it right in the center. And you may have to hold it there. I would probably try to use a hot glue for this if you can. just because it's going to want, the cones are going to want to push it off of there. You're going to have to smush your cones down and hold that. Yeah, maybe a 1/4 of an inch higher than your canning lid. Don't make it too high or your styrofoam is going to show under the edge of that canning lid. You don't want it too high. So maybe just a 1/4 of an inch higher than your lid. So when you get that in the center, then you're going to let everything dry. See, my ring is not, my lid is not secure in my ring because I use tacky glue. So you might want to, if you're using tacky glue, let that dry first because your cones are going to want to push the ring off of there. So let that dry really well and then glue it to the center of your wreath. I'm going to have to put something heavy on mine until that completely dries. So you could go get the jar and fill it with something and set it on there and let it dry. The last step is to use your hole punch and just whatever you want to be the top, you're just going to punch a hole through the cardboard and tie a piece of yarn through there. You can see on mine right up here. So you just punch a hole, tie a piece of yarn. Don't make it too long. You want it to be hidden by the cones. So when I hang it on the wall, it's not going to show. And that's the last step. That finishes your wreath. So you can see they don't, once you get the hang of making the cones, they don't take a lot of time or a lot of effort or a lot of expense. Any questions? Does anybody have part of their wreath glued together that we can see? Connie does over here. We'll get her over here. Why don't you bring that over here, Connie?
Showing hers.
So let me see. Let me go to gallery view so I can see you. Oh, Teresa, beautiful. Yes. Oh, that's pretty with the pink.
This is a Victorian pattern.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Everybody, yep, that's everybody on my screen. So this is Connie Smith. So Connie, come over here into the camera. So this is Connie, and this is her. She's got blues and greens and yellows, very summery looking. Pretty. Okay, thank you. Gorgeous. So you ladies are going to be able to be on Show and Tell this afternoon and share your wreath. Actually, I'm going to put some hot glue in my ring here. My other piece is working fine, so I'm going to put some hot glue so that my cones don't push this up. Be careful when you're putting hot glue on your metal ring because the metal does transfer the heat. A little hot. You know, some ladies suffer for their high heels so that they look good. I suffer for my crafts and have burnt fingertips and poke myself with my needle when I'm doing needlework, but it's all worth it in the end.
Oh, that's great, Whitney. You have some war wounds there, battle wounds with your work.
That's right. I'm not willing to suffer for high heels, but I'll do it for my crafts.
Right. No feeling in your fingertips, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, Mary Beth.
That's pretty.
Gorgeous. That's really pretty.
Is that Christmas themed?
Looks like it's plaids and pumpkins and stripes and a fallish colors.
Pretty.
Gorgeous. Yeah, that hot glue in the ring works a lot better, honey. And you used a little specialty design in the center of yours. What's in the center of yours? Nice. All righty. Well, that's all there is to it. Like I say, the directions are on the website. So if you didn't print those off beforehand and you want those are on the website along with the materials that you need and what I used. So you're welcome to do that. And I hope to see some of them on the show and tell this afternoon.
Thank you, Whitney.
Thank you. I'm glad y'all joined me, and your wreaths are looking beautiful. That Barbara's.
There you go. Go ahead. Yeah, you can talk. Whitney, this is Barb. My center is a piece of fabric that I put scarecrows on.
Nice. Oh, is it okay? Drop it.
Barb, so everybody can see it. There you go. Great.
Gorgeous. That is going to be beautiful.
This was fun, Whitney. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So we'll see you at the sessions this afternoon. I'll stay on if you have questions or whatever. If you're done, you're welcome to go on and take a break before the next session here.
Whitney, since these are paper, would these be good for like anywhere where there are doors like assisted living, college dorms?
Absolutely.
Maybe something cute for your college grandchild or child.
Yeah.
Something fun. I was just thinking something more simple that people could do to brighten people's day.
Patsy, you need to make one for your mother's door.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, Teresa. You may have to help me. I'm not as crafty as you are.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'll be happy to help.
Oh, yeah. I know about it. I'm a little limited when it comes to crafts. But yes, I've been watching y'all and thinking that would be good for my mom's door.
Yeah, that would make a good club project. You could make them for a nursing home or living for the doors.
But I bet, I don't know because I haven't looked for the paper, Whitney, but I bet you might get team or team colors if you were thinking about college kids.
Yes. Yes, you could certainly see if you could find that. Yeah, that would be great. Or at least get it in the colors. It may not have the exact logo design, but the colors of the school. Yeah.
Something that might be kind of fun for them.
Right, right. Very good.
This is great. Thank you so much, Whitney. We really appreciate you sharing this with us and letting everyone make it along and inspiring some of us to try it. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Good to see everybody.